Number 12 is clear sealer. Clear sealer is used when working on wood or cement rendering, brick, somewhere where you're worried about either tannins coming out of the wood or resin leaching out of the wood or salts coming out of cement and that sort of thing. The clear sealer will block anything from coming out of the substrate that you're painting on. So for surface preparation, putting clear sealer down, then the gesso will stop anything coming through to your work. 13 is fabric fixative. If you've ever had our paint on your clothes, you'll know that it doesn't really come out. However, if you're doing a lot of work on t-shirts or any sort of garment, the fabric fixative mixed 1 part to 2 parts paint up to equal parts will be perfect, and then heat sealed, will be perfect to paint on any sort of garment and pretty well any sort of fabric. The 14 and 15 are the varnishes, 16 is faux finish and marbling gel. Very similar to the spreader medium, although this has a drying retarder added to it for doing finishes such as rag rolling, wood graining and marbling. Number 20 is the water-based patina. The water-based patina and antiquing medium is a great glazing medium for antiquing or making things look old. So we start with this and we end up with this. But also in fine art for glazing or manipulating and moving the paint around, this has a very good open time. And rather than using water, it also has a binder in there so the paint won't remain water sensitive. MM22 is a silkscreen print paste for paper. Add this print paste to the paint at any ratio you like and then screen print with it. You need about 10% with the paint to make it effective, but this will stop the paints, or at least slow them dramatically, drying in the screen. Iridescent medium is a medium that can be mixed in with the paints, and it is straight iridescent pigment. So it will give a real pearlescent finish to the paints. It won't make them a pastel-y sort of colour, so it won't turn the reds pink. It just gives a real sheen and iridescence or pearlescence to the colours. All the Matisse mediums are compatible with the Matisse structure, the Matisse flow, the Matisse inks and the Matisse background colours to make a complete painting system. If you're interested in other mediums such as cracking medium and oil-based antiquing, check out the Derivan range of painting mediums. There are 5 lines to the Matisse range. The first is the structure. This is a thick, full-bodied acrylic, perfect for use with a palette knife or brush or any other way that you fancy using your paint. Thick and full-bodied, gives you plenty of texture, and obviously can be used with the range of mediums. The next is the flow. Now the Matisse flow is a nice thin paint that when brushed out will leave very little in the way of brush marks, but still has the full intensity of colour of the structure. Then moving down through the viscosity, the Matisse inks. Matisse inks, obviously, are very thin, heavily pigmented, very thin viscosity, heavily pigmented inks, which are extremely strong once again. Terrific for airbrushing or calligraphy work. Moving on is the Matisse background colours, and these are a coloured gesso, a low tooth coloured gesso, which are great for backgrounding or gessoing and priming surfaces to give a coloured primer. and we'll talk more about that with mediums and surface preparation. And finally are the range of mediums. One of the largest range of mediums covers varnishes, gessos, sealers, and all sorts of other different mediums that can be used to extend what these paints can do. In the Matisse range, we only use the finest quality pigments available, so the brilliance and intensity of those colours will be much stronger than anything you've used before. All the Matisse range of colours, the structure, the flow, the inks and the background colours, are all ASTM 1 or 2 or Blue Wool Scale 8. In other words, they have very permanent light fastness. The Matisse background colours, being a coloured gesso, are all quite opaque and will cover in 1 or 2 coats. The Matisse structure and flow, as you would expect with an artist quality paint, the opacity or transparency will depend on the actual pigment. The inks are all fairly transparent, very intense in colour, but quite transparent. All ranges are compatible with each other, so the structure and the flow and the inks in the background can all be used together or one on top of the other. So the 5 lines in the Matisse range all complement each other to make the complete painting system.